others will join in. I can start.
Okay. Yeah, you want to speak? You can speak.
I can start and then you do the Narayan Namaskrityam. And
okay, sure.
That is new for me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please accept my humble obeisances from everybody who will join the group also, Prabhuji. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and we are on Canto 1, Chapter 3, and the text for today, Prabhuji, is text 35. I hand over to you, Prabhuji.
Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Sashatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Samshloke Bhaktir Bhavate Nashtuki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So, only the fortunate get the opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are on the first canto, chapter 3, verse number 35. Evam janmani karmani yakuta ajanasya cha vannayanti sma kamayo Veda Guhyani Ritpati. Translation. Thus, learned man described the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Okay, Mataji, you can read the purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada
Ki Jai.
Both the Lord and the living entities are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal, and neither of them has birth and death. The difference is that the so-called births and disappearance of the Lord are unlike those of the living beings. The living beings who take birth and then again accept death are bound by the laws of material nature. But the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not actions of material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that his so-called birth in the material world and his activities are all transcendental. And simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. In the Shrutis, it is said that the birthless appearance appears to take birth. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent, everything is performed by him naturally, as if done automatically. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literatures. Yet, they are displayed by the Lord to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls. We should always take advantage of the narrations of the activities of the Lord, which are meditations on Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhuri. So this verse indicates the importance of the Lord's pastimes, the effect you get on the pastimes when you hear them. So the verse is saying, thus learned man described the birth and of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Sri Prabhupada explains, the first point is both the living entity and Krishna, that means Jiva and Parabrahma, Krishna, are both spiritual. Now you'll find that Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. And even Jiva is Satchidananda Vigraha, but in a very small quantity. So qualitatively, both are different, but spiritually, both are unborn. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, verse number 20, chapter 2, it says, Na jayate mirite vakadachin, nayam bhuktva bhavita vana bhuya, aja nitya sashvatam ayam purana, na hanyate hanimane sharire. Very powerful verse. So here also in this verse, the third line says, Aja nitya sashvatam ayam purana. Aja means unborn. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even you are unborn. Krishna tells Arjuna, you are unborn. This body is temporary. And even Krishna is unborn. In the 4th chapter, verse 6, he says, Ajo api sambhavyatman bhuttanam isharo api sam. He says, even my birth is very different from other living entities, which is explained later on. So the Lord's appearance and disappearance are unlike like that of a jiva. We living entities are bound by the laws of karma. And who gives us birth is Prakriti, the Mother Nature. Krishna does not take birth from Mother Nature. Krishna takes birth from his internal potency. And he can take birth in any form he likes, as per necessity. He will assume that body by his own will. Sri Prabhupada explains that Krishna is not fixed to any rules and regulations, that he must appear at this time, at this place, at this circumstance. Krishna can appear any time. But whenever he appears from his internal potency, which is also under his control. We all know that Krishna has many energies. Paraya Shakti Vivida Shruyate. Parasha Shakti means so many energies Krishna has, endless, and can be categorized into 3. Internal potency, external potency, and we living entities are marginal potency. So even we marginal potency are eternal, unborn, but we have to take a body due to karma, due to our previous deeds. Srimad Bhagavatam explains that nobody knows, since I'm in time memory, we've been taking birth in different species, even as human beings, even as other species. And maybe we were born even as human being earlier, but we have to go on taking birth again and again because we are bound by the laws of karma. And we cannot, till our karma does not get completely erased, we cannot go back home, back to paradise. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, important thing about this verse is, he says that Krishna's pastime, or the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the appearance and the disappearance are very, very important. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, we have done this verse, if you remember, I think it's 4.9. Anybody likes to read 4.9? Anybody has a Bhagavad Gita in the hand? Chapter 4, verse number 9.
Prabhuji, the translation or the text, Janma Karma Cha?
Yeah, both. The Sanskrit is also important and the translation.
Janma Karma Cha Nedivyam Evam Yo Yeti Tatvata Tvaktva Dehan Puran Janma Naiti Mam Iti Shuna. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So Krishna says that Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tattvata. Veti means to know. Tattvata means in truth. Then it says Takta Deha Pudarjanma Naiti Mamedi Shahajana. That whoever understands my coming or my appearance and disappearance will not take birth again. It's a shortcut. So this verse also says the same. That one has to take advantage or full advantage of Krishna's birth and appearance. Not just Krishna, but all Krishna's coming. Krishna's coming as different incarnation. Matsya, Karma, what you call Nashima, Vaman, Vara, and so on. We read so many verses. So everything is okay. And everything is okay if we take hearing process. Hearing Krishna's pastimes is very, very important. So we find that we should never miss a Srimad Bhagavatam class. And if you don't have opportunity to hear Bhagavatam class, then read Srimad Bhagavatam daily. By daily reading, we hear so many pastimes of Krishna's appearance and pastimes. And these are nectarian. These are not like ordinary pastimes of an ordinary living entity. Of course, an ordinary living entities are acts, not pastimes. We cannot use word pastimes or lila for an ordinary living entity. Prabhupada explains in a lecture that the pastimes of Krishna are nectarian if you hear them from a pure devotee. And provided the hearer also is a devotee, it needs this combination. As you hear them, you will enjoy them. Like you can hear how Lord Ramachandra appeared, how Krishna appeared, how Vaman appeared, how Varaha appeared, how, Krishna appeared. Each of these appearances should be understood and should be heard properly. For example, like appearance of Vara was from the nose of Brahma. And then appearance of Vaman was from Mata Aditi and Kashyap. And Ramachandra is from Kaushalya and Dasharat. And Krishna's appearance is from Vasudeva and Devaki. So people may say, oh, he even had parents, he also appeared like us. No, that is not his appearance. Even when Krishna appears, he gives an indication. And even after appearance, Krishna remains Krishna in any of these forms. None of these forms are lesser, we should know. Krishna is original, already explained earlier. Each of Krishna's appearance and disappearance are very, very important. If you go back to our Bhagavad Gita class, I gave you one analogy, if you can recall, that this particular verse, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, which is 4.9, is a kind of a shortcut Krishna is giving us to go back to Krishna. So easy. To go back is very, very easy. If you just have faith, yes, we hear, but we have to have faith. Like today morning, one devotee came to the office and he asked me, which is your favorite pastime of Krishna? So I said, there are many, but of all of them, I like Govardhan Leela. And I spoke the Govardhan Leela and he said, oh, it is so nice. And when you hear Govardhan Leela, it is so nice. Which also is saying, the whole meaning behind Govardhan Leela is, no need to worship me, only me. No need to take shelter of anyone, only take my shelter. I am everything. And don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry. These are the indications of lifting the Govardhan. This is the assurance Krishna gives. So if you hear Govardhan Leela, then we find so much nectar is there. This is one of the special pastime of Krishna. Another good pastime of Krishna, bound by his mother, Yashoda. And if ordinary people hear, they'll say, oh, even ordinary baby, small children, they get tied up like this. But Krishna's tying up is not like that. And Krishna's Leela at that time is so nice that he's being watched by other gopis and they're just laughing and laughing. And Mother Yashoda is serious in binding him. And when you hear all this, and upon that you hear Krishna crying, they say, even my child cries. So when you hear all these pastimes, it may bewilder you. But the thing is, Krishna's pastimes are not human pastimes. And if Krishna was worried about tying by ropes, after being tied even, he moves from there and breaks 2 trees. Anybody knows the names of those trees? Anybody remembers? It's called Yamana Arjuna trees. 2 huge trees. The Bhagavatam, it says the trees were so tall, it almost touched the clouds. No baby can shift and move or crawl and break the trees. Impossible. So this is the beauty of Krishna's pastime. And Krishna's births, how he appears to Devaki and Vasudeva. So the analogy was, I just went on, slipped off my mind. The analogy was, I gave you when I don't know if I did that verse with you, or maybe someone else did do that verse. In that particular verse, there's a secret, which Prabhupada says, that it is the only verse in the whole Bhagavad Gita, which is giving you a kind of a ticket. Take the ticket and go back. It's kind of a visa. He says it's like a loophole. See, he explains, just like you have a case, let's say you have a property case, and it goes on and on, you go to court again and again, so many times, for so many years. In Nairobi, it's common. So the case doesn't get over. But if you manage to get a good lawyer, he can find a similar case, an old case, and he can present it to the magistrate or to the judge that this case is similar to that case. So, my lord, you can decide what to do. And of course, if the case is similar, almost the same, then the same verdict has to be given because the laws don't change. So, Krishna's past appearance and pastime means he's telling us, hear them, accept them with faith, believe them. Only a devotee will believe them. Non-devotee will not believe them. A devotee, if you tell Krishna lifted Govardhan, they will believe. And if you tell a non-devotee, even if you take him to India and show him this is the Govardhan Krishna lifted, he say, how is it possible? Even Govardhan is in front of him. He will not believe. If you read Krishna book, Govardhan at that time was huge mountain, not a hill. It was actually Parvat. Parvat means a mountain. Then it became a hill because as Kali Yuga goes on, the Govardhan goes down daily by one mustard seed. The height goes down and the time will come, it will disappear. So anyway, even Govardhan Leela or Krishna's Leela bound or Krishna's mischief with the gopis, Krishna's rasa dance, Krishna's killing of all those asuras, as you hear them, it removes all your doubts. Your faith, your faith will increase in Krishna. And this is the way one has to come to an understanding that Krishna is everything. So that's why Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. My births and my activities are both divine. We simply have to have faith in it, meditate upon all these activities. And here Sri Prabhupada says, even the Shrutis explain Krishna as Ajam. Ajam means unborn. Parabrahm is unborn. Krishna is called Parabrahm. We are called Brahm. Brahma means spirit. Krishna is supreme spirit, from whom all the spirit is coming. Nitya Nityanam Chetnas Chetnanam Eka Bahunam Vidadate Kama. That from one individual, so many individuals like us come. From one conscious Krishna, we all consciousness. So many types of jivas, we all have consciousness, come from Krishna. But he is different from us. Eka Bahunam. Eka means one. One Krishna is different from all of us. What is the difference? He is the origin of everything. So this is the philosophy about Krishna. So Krishna's activities happen automatically and naturally. It's not that Krishna has to do anything. Parashaya Shakti Vividesh Shiyate. He is Bala Kriya. Everything happens automatically. He doesn't have to do anything. Like when Govardhan was lifted, then we won't go to the whole pastime. When Krishna lifted Govardhan, the coward boys, they were a bit doubtful. So Krishna said, put your sticks up. You also hold. So they thought that they are helping Krishna, not knowing that it is Krishna holding everything. Krishna's energy is holding everything. It's impossible for someone to hold even an object with this small finger. Impossible. Because your finger either will get cracked or your hand will finish. There is every possibility you can even die. Nobody can copy Krishna's pastime. And as they lifted, it was not for a few minutes. You may have seen these bodybuilders, they lift a weight, and after leaving, what do? They don't bring it down. They generally throw it down. The whole weight is thrown down. But Krishna lifted it for 7 days, 7 nights. And he even assured them, don't worry. Bring all of you, bring your animals, bring your, your servants, whatever it is. All of you come here. And you will be safe here. And Indra's rain cannot do anything to you. And in the Bhagavad it is explained that all the rain, even which was falling on Govardhan, not even one tree broke on Govardhan. Govardhan had so many trees, so many hills, nothing was damaged. It was like the water was striking and bouncing back, but nothing was happening. So this is Krishna's potency. That's why Govardhan Leela is so important. Krishna as Ramachandra. We find that there's an incident given in Ramayana in which they went to see a sage, Sharbhang is name. And Sharbhang, with his folded hand, told Ramachandra that already Indra came just now to take me to heavens, but I don't want to go. He said, why? He said, I just wanted to see you. And that is why I've been waiting for years and years. Now you have come, I have seen you, now you allow me to go. And Krishna allows him to go. In front of Ramachandra, he leaves. And then all the Brahmins, all the sages were there. They took Ramachandra to a place where there were heaps of bones and told them, these are all the bones of the sages which have been eaten by the Rakshasas, the cannibals. And Ramachandra said, and they pleaded to Ramachandra, now that you have come, please destroy these Rakshasas. And Ramachandra said, yes, I promise. I'll get rid of all these cannibals from this forest. Now, after leaving that place, they also went to see a sage known as Sita. And as soon as they left, Mother Sita didn't look very happy. And Ramachandra said, what is wrong now? You've been happy throughout. What is wrong today? So he said, I don't want to speak, but since you told me to speak, let me speak. He says there are three things makes a man divine, special. He said, what one? He says, of the three, two are already in you. As far as I know, you've never spoken a lie, number one. Number two is that you have been good to everyone. You've never seen any woman with bad eyes. But the third thing is a bit doubtful as far as your moral is concerned. And Ramachandra was shocked to hear, what is wrong? Speak up. So Mother Sita said that you just promised those sages that you'll kill all the Rakshasas. He said, yes, they've killed so many Brahmins and it's my duty to protect the Brahmins. He said, but a man with a good moral will never attack anyone till they attack you. So Ramachandra promised Mother Sita, yes, I'll not attack even one of them till they attack me. And we all know that's how the whole thing happened. Once they lived there, in the Dandakaranya forest, the lady knows as Surpanak who came there and she tried to elude Rama. And later on we know that her nose and ears were cut. She goes screaming to her brothers, Khar and Dushyant. And 14 demons were sent, Rakshasas. And Ramachandra killed all 14 of them. When they learned all 14 were killed, they sent 14,000. 14,000 is not a small number. At that time, Ramachandra told Lakshman, take Sita inside the cottage. Don't come out. I'll face all of them single-handedly. And he killed all of them in 1.5 hours. All were killed. So many people think Ramachandra only killed Ravan or Kumbhkarna. No. Ramachandra killed before that more than 14,000 Rakshasas and many others. So these are the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. When Lord Nrsimha, when he appeared, he did not just kill Hiranyakashipu. Because when Hiranyakashipu was killed, many other followers came. And Lord Nrsimha, simply by moving his hand, he killed all of them. Thousands and thousands of Rakshasas. So this is Krishna. This is Lord Ramachandra. This is Lord Shiva. Or in other words, this is the Supreme Lord who is Ajam. Ajam means he doesn't take birth. So in other words, Krishna's activities happen automatically and naturally. Krishna's acts, birth, etc. are confidential. Only devotees can understand them, but they remain confidential even to the Vedic literatures. If you read the Vedic literatures like Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda, these pastimes are not given there. Pastimes are given only in some scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. So it's not very easy to get all this information. Yet, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are so, fortunate that we have been given a Bhagavatam. By coming of Srila Prabhupada, practically all over the world, Bhagavatam is being read. Last year, the BBT distributed all over the world more than 35,432 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. This is the book distribution record of last year. That means at least those number of people have Bhagavatam at their house. So whole of the Bhagavatam has so many pastimes of each of his incarnations. Don't forget, even Narad is an incarnation. Kumara's incarnation. Then Vaman, Vara, Matsya, Kurma, and so on. We read all of them in the same chapter. And they have so many pastimes. So simply by meditating upon their pastimes means we are meditating upon Krishna. And Bhagavatam explains them in a most convenient and a palatable way that even a layman can understand. It's not difficult to understand. If you just hear Bhagavatam attentively with faith, then each of these pastimes can be understood. For example, like pastime Lord Ramachandra, giving Sita to the Agni, and later on also get Sita back from the fire. Ordinary man will not believe it. There's a pastime to explain this. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India and after taking sannyas. And what happened is, once he was invited by a Brahmin, come home for lunch. And Mahaprabhu was right in time after taking bath at noon. He went to the Brahmin's house. And the Brahmin was seated like that. Mahaprabhu said, you are invited for me for lunch. Why you are sitting like this? And Brahmin stood up. He said, oh, I'm sorry. I was just waiting for Mother Sita to bring vegetables. Once she brings, I'll cook them. Mahaprabhu understood. He's completely lost in Ram Lila. Of course, he quickly made prasad and fed Ramachandra. And after fed Mahaprabhu. After feeding Mahaprabhu, again he became a bit sad. He said, now what is the problem? He says, don't you know, how can Ravan touch Sita, who is the goddess of fortune, and there's no one special like her? And Mahaprabhu said, who told you he touched Sita? The Sita which he kidnapped was an illusory Sita. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained how Lord Ramachandra gave Sita to Agni, who is the god of fire, and told Agni Dev, keep her till I kill Ravan, then you bring her back. So when Brahmin heard this, he was very happy, but at the same time, he was a genuine Brahmin, and no Brahmin will accept anything without an evidence from the scripture. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, when I come back, I'll come with the evidence. And this evidence is given in the Kurma Puran. In the Kurma Puran, this pastime has been written down. So when he brought a copy for him, Brahmin was so happy, and he touched the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, you are not the sannyasi. What I am looking for, you are the same Lord Ramachandra. He realized that this is Mahaprabhu and Lord Ramachandra. So we can read these pastimes, and for that we need the heart of a devotee. If you're not a devotee, you not believe this. They say, oh, this is meant to either to please us or maybe to give us some fantasy. No, the reality is each of these pastimes have a lot of nectar inside, be it a small one or be it a big one. All these pastimes are very, very special. Just like Krishna, after killing Kamsa, after many years in Dwarka, Mother Devaki was seated with Krishna and Balaram side by side. And she said, I'm so happy. I got both of my sons. I wish my other six sons were alive. And she cried because those 6 sons were killed by Kamsa. And Krishna said, don't worry, I'll bring them. And Krishna brought all the 6 sons. And she held all the 6 sons along with Krishna and Balaram. Who can do this? No one can do this. Not only that, she even fed milk to all the 6 children. So if someone has a son like Krishna, then nothing is impossible. We all know that his spiritual master had lost his only son, who went to take a bath in the ocean, never came back. And I think I had given this pastime. And Krishna went to retrieve him. He brought him back and gave his spiritual master the son. And the mother, the wife of the Guru, means the Guru Mata, was so happy that to see her own son, who had already become more bigger. So no one can do this other than Krishna. So we have to have faith in the pastimes of Krishna. That is why if you meditate upon these pastimes, especially early in the morning, we are just reading the Gajendra Moksha in our morning Bhagavatam class, which is just finished. And in the end, it says that Anyone who remembers Gajendra pastime, upon waking up, then he will become a special person, means he'll become a special devotee. Most of us, when we wake up, either we yawn or we stretch ourselves, and then we even hardly the eyes are open, or thinking twice, should I go to the bathroom to brush my teeth or not? We think all those things. Devotee doesn't wake up like that. Devotee wakes up, immediately bows down and speaks Mahamantra. If he's initiated, he remembers his spiritual master. But even after that, if you remember any one of the pastimes of the Lord, or the pastime of even its devotees, like Hanuman, very, very special pastimes, then what happens? You'll see, you'll make your day very, very special. That's right. When you reach that section, you'll come across that verse, which appears towards the end of the 8th canto. In the 8th canto, end of the 4th chapter. That we should hear Krishna's pastimes, meditate upon that. It's not that you read and just forget about it. No, you have to meditate upon it. That's how the faith is nurtured. Your faith becomes solidified. And in future, your faith will become so good that when you chant Hare Krishna, you'll enjoy chanting. It's like nectar. And you'll go on chanting nicely throughout the day, throughout the night. That is called 24 hours chanting. Complete remembrance of Krishna, complete meditation upon Krishna. So anyway, this purport is aiming to explain to us that though Krishna is unborn means that it's not unborn means he doesn't appear like us. That is the meaning. And inactive. It's not that he's just up in the sky and doing nothing. Nothing like that. He's also active. He's unborn and active. And he does all his activities, his birth, his activities are all very, very special. And this is the way what happens. We actually go back home, back to God, enjoying those pastimes. Prabhupada says, and even many devotees say that if you especially go to India, especially to small villages, still in villages people have a lot of love for Lord Ramachandra and Krishna. And if you start speaking this pastime, they will gather in thousands. Not like in Nairobi or I don't know about Eldoret. If there is no prasad, nobody will come. They're not asked for prasad. They'll all come to hear the pastime. Without even water, they will hear. I myself an experience to share that I have my sister in India, lives in a very small town. So one day I thought that let me try preaching. So I went to my cousin's house and I preached. They loved it so much that they gathered all the neighbors, and within minutes the whole room was full. They say, "Oh, you know all this?" I said, "Yes, I know all this." He said, "Why you never tell us?" I said, "You never told me that you like this." But they all heard it. He said, "We all know Bhagavad Gita, but the way you speak, the way you explain is very different. It's like so rich, even one word is opened so much. So which Bhagavad Gita do you read?" So I said, "I read this Bhagavad Gita as it is. Can we get it?" And then I had to order from Mumbai because they didn't have. And 1 dozen Bhagavad Gita were ordered and distributed to all of them. So there is a natural love for Krishna, especially in India. That's why Sri Prabhupada says in at least 2 to 3 lectures which I have heard, that Indian culture originally is Krishna culture. They just need to do a little pushing. They'll all become devotees. Because by naturally, all Indians are by nature Krishna conscious. They've been contaminated by the so-called the new Western kind of understanding, Western civilization, but otherwise, they are all devotees. Hare Krishna. The time is up. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for today's class. Prabhuji, I'm just meditating on the last comment that you made, that all Indians are Krishna conscious. But I feel, Prabhuji, if we look at 2-3 generations before this generation, I think most of the places, they were all God conscious. They might have worshipped not Krishna directly, but the elements of nature. For example, in Africa, probably in Kenya, they were worshipping the sun and the moon and the lightning and things like that. So everywhere, I think that maybe I'm wrong, but 3 or 4 generations ago, they were all more God conscious than the current generation.
Yes, you're right. What I told you is, in Prabhupada's times, Prabhupada says, in India, there were Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what is Mahabharata, everybody knew what is Ramayana. If you go back in 60s, 70s, even up to 80s, they were very much into Krishna consciousness. And then all of a sudden the Kali Yuga came in, and then everybody's like deviated from there. Now it's very difficult to find now in India that very genuine Krishna devotees. Very difficult. I mean, those are connected to ISKCON, it's different, but otherwise, or even these Pushtimas, they are quite Krishna conscious. Otherwise, not many. South India they are, but even in South India it's contemplated, because I have a very close friend who is a South Indian, and he comes from what you call Sri Sampradaya, the Sampradaya of Ramachandra. He was telling me that in his younger days, they will not worship anyone except Krishna. But now the trend is that even in a Krishna temple, they want to put Devis, Devtas, and people no more are serious. And he told me another thing, and I was shocked. He says, before Janmashtami comes, 3 weeks before Janmashtami, every home would start preparing Adkut. And the sweets are made in such a way that for 3 weeks they don't get spoiled. And all the preparation, he said, if I wanted to taste it, my mother will never give me. He said, wait till Janmashtami. So this is the seriousness of Krishna consciousness. Even I here in Nairobi, before I became a full-time devotee, I was working and also serving the temple. One person from the very big temple, the Sanatana Dharma, one of the members came to me. He knew that I go to temple and I teach Bhagavad Gita, I read Bhagavad Gita. She says, in our temple, someone has come with a suggestion. So at that time, their temple was in the city, small temple. They had only Radha Krishna, no one else. He says they want a murti of Santoshima and a separate temple for her. So when I explained to you, when you're worshipping Radha Krishna, you don't need to worship anyone else. He says, but I agree. But none of the committee members is agreeing. Because the person who wants to build the temple, his wife passed away, and in her will she has written that all the money be used to build this temple. So we are under obligation. I tried to explain in many ways, but it didn't work. So in a matter of time, a new altar came there, and they started worshipping that. It means that people became more and more contributed after the 80s, 90s in Kenya. I don't know about India, but I have seen myself here. Rather than coming close to Krishna, people have divided into different temples. Oh, I go to Buddhism, I go to work. For originally, everyone knew this is everything. Krishna is everything. That's why Prabhupada, I agree with Prabhupada's statement, that originally Indian culture was Krishna conscious culture. Now they have deviated. It's okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. And even Krishna conscious had even spread till Thailand and Malaysia in the far east as well. We have all the temples, Angkor in Cambodia. And even I mentioned earlier that in Thailand, the temple, the airport itself has the Samudra Manthan. They have big display of Samudra Manthan at the airport in Thailand.
Okay.
So as soon as you land, you come out and you'll see on one side there are the Devas and one side Rakshasa, and in middle it's Kurma. and they are all churning. I mean, and it's not a small thing, it's big statues. So even today, like this was 6-7 years ago, so they are still Krishna conscious, and they still know Mahabharata and our epics. So you're right, the degradation has happened.
That's why the last line of this purport of today says that meditation has been made so simple, convenient, and palatable. Because with those statues and showing those pastimes, it makes it very easy to understand. When I went first time to the Mumbai temple, Bombay temple, first time, one of the things that attracted me is the side things, where there is a statue of Nrsimhadev. How Nrsimhadev is there? Ram killing Ravan, and all those are there sites. This attracted me so much. So imagine, it is so much fascinating. I'm sure it's fascinating to all of us, not only to me. So I feel that these pastimes are easy to pick up, easy to remember, and you don't forget. You never forget them. You always remember them.
Thank you, Swamiji. Are there any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, even I remember in our olden days, when TV was not there, there used to be only, grandmas used to narrate the pastimes of Lord Ram and then Mahabharata. That used to be the favorite, storytelling, exercise we used to have. And after the television came, everything got changed into cricket matches and movies, and so it is completely polluted. And then our original pastime of hearing Krishna Katha has been really
Yeah, right.
thanks. Yes. At least with Prabhupada's blessings and then ISKCON's endeavor, that at least it's getting revived in some places.
And hope it continues. Because the Kali Yuga is so contaminated, it's acting like fire, consuming our culture completely. Even us, in my younger days, when I was 8 years old, 9 years, even up to 16 years old, we'll sit around near my mother in the evening, daily. She would speak from Mahabharata or from Ramayana. Though she was illiterate, but she was so good. She knew all this pastimes by heart. Even she remembered names which I can't remember. So many names. The sons of Arjuna, the other sons of Arjuna, the names of all the asuras, everything she remembered. So we are blessed if we had parents like that. But we should also, those who are parents, we should become like that and at least teach our children. This, the easiest, once a question was asked to one scientist, what is the easiest connection between a man and God? And he said, a story. Easiest way to explain about God is a story. If you give a story, very easily a child can understand. Very, not just child, even bigger people. You tell a story at once. Like yesterday, we had a house program, and they asked the question about Ambarish Maharaj. And I explained everything about Ambarish Maharaj and some other stories. The class went on for almost 2 hours, and they loved it. So pastimes are always good. Okay, it seems like no other questions, so we can close the session for today.
Are you going, Das Prabhuji? Is it possible for you to close the session for today?
Yes, Mataji. Although I joined a little bit later, so this was a wonderful class. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving this one wonderful nectar. I would request all the devotees assembled here to unmute and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once for glorifying His Grace Rukma Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Kripa Sindhu Ya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo
Vaishnava
Prabhupada की जय,
Jai
प्रभु की जय।
Jai
सीता